Welcome back to a special Piers Morgan Live. Inside the mind of a killer, Joshua Cooke planned to murder his parents. And on February the 17th, 2003, that's exactly what he did. First killing his father with a 12-gauge shotgun before reloading and executing his mother. We spent a lot of time on this show talking about guns and why I believe we need common sense gun control legislation. This is an opportunity to explore what's behind the gun. Joshua says mental illness played a part in his crime. In his first ever television interview, he speaks out to other killers. You see, Joshua, there will be many people watching this who will say all you're doing now is making excuses for what you did, that actually you were just a ruthless, cold-blooded killer, and that it's convenient for you now to blame possible schizophrenia, video games, music, other mass shootings, and so on. What do you say to those people?
Well, I would say that whenever I talk to anyone about this, I always tell them that I don't blame anyone but myself. And I have no one to blame but myself. I don't blame anything or anyone else. We're all held accountable for our own choices. We all have choices to make. I'm not the only one who's gone through things in my life and played violent video games and things like that. All I'm saying is that these things do contribute and they accumulate. And especially with someone who may have psychological issues like I know I've had, you could become a ticking time bomb.
If you had two biological parents who were diagnosed with schizophrenia, it seems extraordinary that you were not picked up as a potential risk. But do you think the system, the mental health system in America, should have picked you up earlier?
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I've spent a lot of time thinking about that, just in frustration and anger that I never got to know those things growing up my whole life about my biological parents. I mean, you know, who wouldn't want to know that both of their parents were mentally ill, in and out of mental institutions, and schizophrenics and things like that? That's something that I should have known from a very early age, and so I could have gone to the right types of professionals and doctors to get myself checked out, but I never knew growing up all those years, so that's a really big deal to me.
When you've seen the mass shootings at places like Aurora in the movie theatre with James Holmes and also with Adam Lanza at Sandy Hook, do you recognize from everything that you've read about these two shooters similarities in the way that perhaps you were thinking at the time that you committed your atrocity?
Absolutely. Whenever these incidents happen, there's several things that pop into my mind because I've been there. I know there was psychological issues involved. These people were not right, obviously. At least the majority of them aren't. They've had psychological issues. Maybe there's been abuse in their life, bullying in school for years. Like I said, rejection from girls, that plays a part. Violent video games. Nobody just snaps overnight and just decides, hey, I'm going to go shoot a whole school up or something like that. It doesn't happen. This stuff builds up over time, and these people were ticking time bombs. And, you know, I wish people had seen the signs in me beforehand, before I did what I did. And but unfortunately, that didn't happen.
You were able to go and, as a 19-year-old, buy a shotgun and a load of ammunition and go and murder your parents. Do you think that the easy availability of guns is also a big problem in America for disturbed young men in particular, like yourselves?
Absolutely, that is a big problem. And, you know, one thing I would like to address with what you brought up about, you know, the availability of guns is with regards to assault weapons. If I had an assault weapon, things would have been much worse. And I thank God I didn't have an AR-15 or some other type of assault weapon, because the way I was back then mentally, I would have gone to the mall that night or to one of my old high schools the next morning and killed as many people as I possibly could. But because I didn't have an assault weapon, that didn't happen. So I thank God I didn't have one of those things. And the gun does matter.
Obviously, you're going to be in prison for a very long time. You did a terrible thing that day, killing your parents. If you had the chance to speak to them again, which you never will, but if you did have the chance, what would you say to them?
Well, first, I actually do believe that I will see them again. I believe in redemption. I believe in God. I do believe I will see them again. And when I see them, I know that we're going to be reconciled and we're going to talk it out. And my parents were Christians. You know, they made some mistakes. They had faults like every other parent does. But I know I would tell them that, obviously, that I'm sorry, that I love them, that I want to thank them for everything that they did for me growing up, and give them hugs and kisses, and just embrace them, and then go from there. So I look forward to that.
Are you now receiving any kind of treatment or medication for any mental health issues?
No, I'm not. I mean, years ago, in 2004, I was on 4 different antidepressants, and I was talking to psychologists. They don't have any regular therapy here where, like you have on the street, where you see a shrink once a week or something like that, but you can put requests in to see a psychologist. But the main thing that has delivered me from this type of thinking, this mentality, this type of evil mentality, and the thing that's really helped me with my mental health is my relationship with God. So, and prayer works, and it's really worked for me, and He's really put a lot of love in my heart. So that's what's really helped me out, and I don't think like I used to years ago.
You heard a lot from Joshua Cooke tonight, and it's important to know this is just one side of his tragedy. We reached out to other members of his family. They did not reply to our request for a response. When we come back, I want to ask 3 mental health experts what they think about this extraordinary case. But first, Joshua Cooke's final warning to anyone feeling the urge to commit a crime like this, why he believes that psychological help can make all the difference.
It's not just about you, it's about the others around you and people that love you. And I just got to tell you that you got to get help. You got to get help. You know, you really need to see a psychologist, and there's no shame in that. You really should get psychological help because you probably have some problems like I did. And I just want to say, you know, give God a chance, you know, and just think about what I said.